All right. Good morning, everybody. Give me just a moment here while I get everything set up. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on how you can better transition into Top Producer X if you're joining us from our tried and tested, wonderful Top Producer AI Classic version. I'm your host, Dan Salcedo. Joining me on the side is Spencer Powell. He's going to be helping us answer questions on the chat, on the QA, and he's going to be sharing some useful links if anything comes up throughout the show. I'm Dan, and I've been in the department called customer care. So we handle all the inquiries that you guys have for how-to questions, if there's any potential issues in the product. That's what we're here for. I've been with the company for over 12 years now. So hopefully over those years, I've learned a few things along the way. And that will help when you guys have any questions throughout the show. This show is meant to be interactive. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt. I will be checking the chat from time to time, and Spencer will be as well. Spencer, you're welcome to just interrupt me anytime as well. If there's any questions that come up, so we can bubble them up during the show. If you guys don't mind, I see that we have at least 31 people on Zoom now, so that is great. Terry Evans, good morning. If you guys want to give a quick shout out to where you're from, how long you've been in the industry, what are you most excited about with today's show? What are you more interested in learning about in today's show, coming from your 8i version into TPX? What do you think will make you successful in that transition into Top Producer X? So would be curious to know what people want to prioritize for this show, and I hope to address some or most of all of them as we go along. I do have some presentation slides here that you can see on the screen. So let me just bigify that so you guys can see that a little bit easier. All right. And if there's any issues with the video quality or the sound quality, just let me know, and I'll do my best to address that as we continue here. Awesome. We're getting some chats here now. John Valencia from Greeley, Colorado. Welcome. Charlotte Bova from Charleston, South Carolina. I need to learn everything about X. Hopefully we get that today. Sharon Lenning from Abbotsford, been with TP since it started in BC. That is awesome. Sharon, I'm actually in Abbotsford too. So, that's awesome to have someone, one of my neighbors here in a webinar like this, right? Terry Pontius from San Diego, been with TP since the late 1990s. Awesome. We got some top producer pioneers here, some local celebrities, in my opinion. Terry Evans again, licensed in Virginia and West Virginia and Eastern Panhandle, realtor since 2004. Wow, that's great. Linda Kilarski from Brighton, Michigan. Wow, 32 years in real estate. We've got some really good experienced people here. Please share your knowledge. If there's anything that you want to comment on during the show, if you have any suggestions for other realtors, that's awesome. 32 years in the industry. It must be really successful. You're not finding the TPX user-friendly. Okay, that's fair. That's no problem. And hopefully we'll address that during the show, make it easier to kind of get a handle of it, especially if you've been used to Top Producer AI. That's one of the goals here, is not to fully convince you guys to go into TPX, but at least kind of give you the idea of what you can see in Top Producer X, and hopefully inspire you to start using it, right? Let's see here. We got Terry Taylor from Frisco, Texas. Been a realtor for 34 years. Wow, top producer for at least 10 years. Pam Hughes, been in real estate for 35 years. He's top producer since it began. Used CMA successfully until it went away. Yes, I know. Now, mobile access. Yep. I know that you might have heard maybe this month, but it looks like it got slightly delayed because some of our engineers got COVID, so it got a little delayed to early July. But we'll dive into TPX a little bit more. Hopefully, that will give you some other ideas. I know CMA is not in there at the moment, so maybe there's something in TPX that you might like. Miles Godlinton started in 1976. Wow, TP user for a very long time. So as you can see here, we have a lot of really great experiences in the audience. If you guys have questions, please be frank, say whatever you want in the questions and comments. I will try to be as honest and transparent as I can be. Of course, I can't share everything that we're doing to address everything that all your concerns, but we are listening. We are very focused on making sure we're providing that value that you guys have seen over the 10 years or 15 years we've been with Top Producer. We're going to continue to try to deliver on that. So we're always wanting to hear your feedback. So before I do get started with the notes, I do want to have Spencer introduce himself a little bit more. Spencer, he's part of our success team. You've probably spoken to him before if you were a new rep or a new customer. If any new customers are in here, welcome, first of all. Congratulations for joining. And as you can see, we have a lot of customers that have been with us for years and years. So hopefully you will see the same success as well. And Spencer is one of the people that we rely on to make sure that you are successful with the product. So go ahead, Spencer, and give yourself a little bit of introduction there.
Hey everyone, good to be here today. Thanks for joining in. Looks like we have 40 attendees, so pretty impressive. Good to have you guys here, as Dan said, and going to be a good show. Talk about some of the things you should know transitioning from 8i to X, some of the differences, but also some of the big advantages that X offers, some of the new features that were never available in 8i. And so it's definitely a very modern real estate CRM for the modern real estate agent. And we'll kind of show you some cool aspects of that. And yeah, actually, just a side note, I know Dan was saying he had a neighbor from Abbotsford in here. I'm just over in Vancouver, in sort of the Yale town area. So we're all pretty close by as well. So but yeah, good to be here, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Spencer. And we've got a couple more. Mohammed Alkiyal, I'm used to TP. I've used TP since 1995. It's a great tool. Oh, that's very nice to hear, Mohammed. Especially here in customer care, we always hear the issues. So it's always nice to hear when our customers are actually liking the product. Sometimes it feels like we're only talking to the people that have problems. So thank you so much, Mohammed, for that compliment. Miles Godlinton recently tried to log into TPX, couldn't, and you had a recurring issue about that. Okay, so hopefully with what we go through, it kind of makes more sense what you will see in Top Producer X once you're logged in. If you can't log in still, please message us in chat. Our live chat is available, and it's a real person, it's not a robot. And we are available during our office hours from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. So you'll get someone, usually we respond within the first minute. So you shouldn't have to wait too long. So yeah, hopefully we figured that out with you, Miles. You shouldn't have any issues with logging in. So I'm sorry about that. Terry, TP still not syncing with Google Calendar. Okay, Terry, there might be, I know that Google Calendar sync should be working. It's not something that globally everyone's having issues, so it might be specific to your account. If you haven't already, please definitely message us in chat and in our live chat inside the program, so we can troubleshoot that with you. If we have a class, let's get going. We've now wasted 1/6 of our hour. Okay, I'm sorry, Chris Cheney. We'll get going here. Okay, let's continue here. All right. So again, if you've been here last month's session, it's going to be a refresher. So you're definitely welcome to stay. Maybe there's something. Sometimes It takes me a couple of tries to read something or watch something to learn whatever it was. So if you were here from last month or the previous month, you're definitely welcome to stay. But yeah, so we're going to talk about what's new in Top Producer X first. And then after that, we're going to talk about what we've improved from 8i, some of the features we've improved from 8i into Top Producer X. So the first slide here says the 360 contact view and our property insights feature. So what we mean here is with the 360 contact view, it's a little bit more fleshed out and easier to navigate when you're comparing it to the Top Producer 8i. Let me show you guys live here actually, so it makes a little bit more sense. All right, so let's log into Top Producer 8i first. Everyone knows the screen, hopefully. All right. And by the way, if you don't know how to get into Top Producer X from your 8i version, there is just a button here at the top that says TPX. So we just click on that and that will take you in there. It's the same login credentials. There's no different username or password. You could also go directly into Top Producer CRM by the address, which is just crm.topproducer.com. So Spencer, it might be hard to read on the screen. So if you can just share that on the chat. The address for Top Producer X is crm.topproducer.com. If you want to go to it directly, and I recommend you to save that as a bookmark on your browser. But yeah, you can definitely access TPX from your 8i. Just click on that button at the top there from your 8i. So when we're talking about the 360 contact view, what we mean is in 8i, let's say I'm looking for a contact, right? And when I open a contact, and I would search for them first, right? Just by convenience, I have the contact that I have that I want to look in here as an example. So watch what happens here in 8i. If I click on view contact, right, from my homepage, if I click on view contact, it takes me completely out of what I was in. And now I'm inside that contact record. And from, from all the years we've talked to customers, that experience is a little bit jarring, where it takes you away from what we were looking at before. Like, let's say you were looking at a list of all your contacts, right? And you're in your contact summary and you click on someone's name, right? It's different. It's always different. Depending on where you click on someone's name, the experience is different. Now with TPX, if I open someone's contact record, watch the difference. It opens the contact record, but you still see your list on the background. So it makes it easier. I know it's a slight, you might not notice it, but when you're using it more and more often, that is really nice as far as making it easier for you to quickly kind of switch to different things in the program, having that other page that you were looking at still in the background while you're opening up a contact record. And as you can see here, you can see their information, their phone number, their email, websites. If they have social media websites, like if they have Facebook, Twitter, you can add all of those in, those profile pages, if you want to check out their profile pages whenever you're trying to relate to this lead that you might be trying to convince and convert to a listing. So you can add all their different profile pages where it says website. So you can do all of that stuff. Of course, you can group them in different categories using the contact type field and so on. But what's really cool here is in the middle here, when you have the contact record open, it'll show you their main dashboard. So it's got some really useful information, like when's the last time you talked to them, what is their next important date, maybe they have a birthday coming up, or any recent notes that you've added. So that's what the dashboard does. Really quick information at your fingertips. And then you can quickly navigate between your history with all the emails you've sent and received with them. Even before you had Top Producer, it'll show you all your email history based on whichever connected account you've set up in the settings. You can see all the important dates. And while you're talking to them, you can even, while you're looking up all this information, you can even hit the wrap up button, so that while you're in a phone call with them, for example, you can track whatever your conversation is. Right, while you're talking to them, you can quickly navigate around your system in the background, so it makes that conversation a little bit easier and more meaningful when you're wrapping up that call. So that's just what we mean with the 360 contact view. It gives you just so much more information in an easier way to navigate compared to 8i. And this is based on the feedback we've gotten over the years with customers. Once you get into Top Producer X a little bit more, hopefully you'll agree with us that it's easier to navigate. The next point in the slide is property insight. So this is a new feature, actually. So property insights, this is mainly catered to our buyer agents. So we've gotten feedback over the years from 8i users, especially the ones that mainly handle buyer leads or buyer clients. And in 8i, there isn't anything specific, any specific feature that caters to buyer agents. And what we've done with Top Producer X is we've introduced this new feature called Property Insights that lets you create a centralized list of all the listings on the market that buyer might be interested in. So sometimes you'll get a phone call from your buyer saying, hey, I want to check out this house that I drove by a couple of days ago. Can we take a look at it sometime this month when I'm not so busy? I'm really interested in that one. Or, 2 days later, they might text you saying, hey, I saw another property I want to check out. And then, maybe a few hours later, they'll email you saying, hey, I just went on realtor.com or Zillow and I just got like these 3 properties that I want to take a look at as well. So they might be giving you all these properties that they're interested in buying. And it would be nice, right, if you had a tool or a place where that list is centralized so that when they call you the next time, you don't have to search your phone text messages. You don't have to look for your handwritten notes when you got that call from them. You don't have to go through all your emails. Once you added it into the property insights list, then it'll just be easier for you to, the next time they call you, and let's say they've given you like 3 properties that they want to look at, you can update them and say, hey, it looks like one of those properties already sold. This property already up, it looks like the price increased, but we can still take a look at those. So it makes that conversation a little bit more effective, right? And it sounds like you're always on top of their list, even though it might have been just a few seconds earlier that you were looking at their list of interested properties. So I'll show you guys that live, but I do see there is some chatter here in the chat and some questions. Spencer, what do you got for me?
So Dan, one thing, Jay was pointing out in the chat that I guess the Zoom camera view is blocking the part of the presentation. I don't know if there's any way around that on Zoom, unfortunately, but it takes up like just the far top right corner. It's just the speaker view, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of option for that, or yeah, you may need to do that, unfortunately, just to adjust the window size. I can see it on Facebook, so you do have a little bit more room if you move over, or that works. Yeah, you can put it down just a little bit more, and it'll be. There we go. That's good. That's good.
So
that works. Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me just move it up a little bit more.
As Megan just chimed in and said, though, you can apparently move the speaker window to wherever you want. I think if you click on it or maybe right click on it, it should allow you to kind of move it around or unpin it or something like that as well. So
yeah,
that might be something.
I have moved my video away from the monitor that I'm sharing with you guys, but unfortunately the way it publishes it on the stream, it'll keep it on the top right corner. There might be another way that I'm not aware of yet. Thank you for that, Megan. I will we'll look into that afterwards, but I just adjusted it and then moved it down a little bit. Hopefully that makes it easier to see the entire dashboard.
Oh, Dan, I think Megan's advice was just two other viewers. There's a way, I guess, to do it per viewer for them to do it themselves on their side.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you,
yeah.
Megan. Yeah, no, yeah.
Mhm,
So yeah, if you are
mhm,
viewing this presentation and my video is blocking it, it's usually on the top right corner.
mhm,
You might be able to just click and drag that away,
mhm,
and that'll hopefully let you see everything on the screen. But
mhm.
if you don't know how to do that, that's okay. I've already reduced it and I moved it down a little bit. So hopefully that works out for most of us here.
Mhm. And then,
Let me
then
know. Yeah, let me
oh,
know if it's still cutting it off.
and Dan, just on Facebook, I had a series of questions. Was just hoping I could maybe just address it really quick for
Yep.
Nancy. Um, yeah, just so Nancy had some questions on Facebook about Market Snapshot, and she was saying that Top Producer 8i she finds easier to use than the next. And I completely understand, especially if it's something new to you, that a new platform is always just going to be less easy to use. But her questions about Market Snapshot were she was wondering why she would use Market Snapshot over the searches in her MLS if it essentially does the same thing. And so I just wanted to address that really quick, Nancy. Couple reasons why you'd want to use something like Market Snapshot through Top Producer X over your MLS is that first off, it's completely integrated into your Top Producer, of course, right? So you have all your contacts there. You can easily pull them up. Everything's integrated. You have your notes, you have your emails, everything side by side with those market snapshots. So it's your one-stop shop for tracking everything to do with that contact, right? You'll get the listing alerts as well. You'll get to see what they're viewing right from your Top Producer CRM. And of course, you can follow up with them via email right from there as well. So there are many, many advantages. I could go on and on. Just feel free to reach out to our customer care team through the live chat in the bottom right corner, and we can show you a little bit more about that if you like. And then let me just take a look back here. Someone was asking about properties manually added. I'm not sure what the context was there, Charlotte. I'm sorry. I may have missed that. And then also Brenda was asking about Treb. I answered, I think, someone else via text about Treb. So just really quick, Brenda, to answer you on that one. The reason why Treb isn't available, it's kind of a difficult situation. They do have sort of a proprietary, validation system where every 30 seconds it does change that key or password. It's something that's very hard to support in Top Producer X at this time. So we'll of course keep touching base with Treb every once in a while and seeing what we can do, figure out a solution for that. But they're a little bit unfortunately outside the norm of how we validate with MLSs. So it's a difficult challenge. Anything you want to add to that, Dan?
Nope, that was good. And I
Mm-hmm.
see here Gian on Zoom chat, Gian Van. I can't see the last name. So I apologize for that, Gian. But his question is, how do you add a post-sale action plan to the client? That's a really good question. So I will show you that if you can hold that thought until a little later. I will show you how you can apply an action plan in Top Producer X. So in Top Producer X, it's actually called a task plan. So it's a little bit of a change in terminology, but it's the same thing. So in Top Producer X, there is a way for you to apply a task plan. And Spencer, if you can just share the link on how to do that as well in chat. So you can, if Gian wants to read ahead, you can do that. And we did just actually introduce a new update to Top Producer X where you can mass apply the same task plan to multiple contacts. So before a few days when we launched this update, you had to do it for each individual person, but now you can mass apply it to multiple contacts, the same task plan. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Let me see if there's anything else here. Oh,
And
it
then
looks like,
Dan,
yeah, Spencer, you did share that article. Appreciate it.
yeah, I got that to, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but I got that to, I believe, Gian. And so, yeah, we do have an article for that with a video about how to apply task plans. And so that's something that would basically pertain to any sort of task plan. If you want to use the built-in task plan for after sale, you just have to first add it to your template library. So that video and article should show you how to do that. Once you add it to your library, it'll then be available for either applying to a contact or for you to edit and change it to your liking. Of course, you can definitely create your own task plan if you prefer and make an after sale plan. And then once again, that article and video would show you exactly how to apply that to a contact. As Dan just said, though, very, very cool. You can now mass apply task plans to multiple contacts at once. So picture this: you have that after open house follow up plan. You just have all those new leads from your open house. You just click them all off and apply it to all 10, 15, 20 people at the same time, and then move on to prospecting.
Yeah, another question here from Brenda Chanis. Is market snapshot an extra cost? Yes, it is an additional to the regular price of just top producer on its own. So it is an extra cost. We can take a look at an example a little later to see if you're interested in it. Hopefully you will see the value in it. But otherwise, you can talk to our sales team. So we'll take a quick peek at that a little later. Okay. Michael KM, are there still letter templates in Top Producer X? So Michael, there's only email templates and texting templates. So you can reuse emails, messages. You can reuse text messages in Top Producer X. Any print material like letters, labels, envelopes, those things that you use in 8i, you can still use them in 8i, right? We're not getting rid of 8i. We are happily supporting 8i. We're going to continue to make it work as long as the technology lets us make it work, right? Just like with any older version of software, our 8i version, it has been around for at least 15 years now. So as time goes on, unfortunately, some features may stop working. But I know with letters, that's still working in Top Producer 8i. So if that's something that's important to you right now, you're more than welcome to keep using 8i and to use all those features in there while you use all these newer features in Top Producer X that's not in 8i, for example, being able to use texting templates. Go ahead, Spencer.
So Dan, we have some requests just to show off some of the new features of X. I know Miles would like to see property insights. Yeah. And then we also have message from Lynn just really asking for us to demonstrate some more and show off. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So that's just what I'm about to do right now. Especially I just talked about property insights before we handle some of those questions. And so I'm gonna go back to my Top Producer X here. And I'm in Abbotsford, which is a suburb here in Vancouver, BC, Canada. So I'm gonna go to our Canadian version of Realtor.com and look for a house, for example, in Vancouver, right? Maybe I want to move closer to the downtown core, and let's see what's available here in Vancouver. So let's go near the beach, see what's in here.
And for anyone wondering, real estate is rather expensive in Vancouver. And then just really quick, as I said to Lynn, and it just kind of pertains to everyone, apologies for any wait on seeing some of the new features and us demonstrating. It just there are a lot of questions. We don't want to leave you guys hanging for too long. So just really appreciate your patience there.
All right, so you get a text or you get a phone call from your buyer, and they tell you, hey, I want to look at this house next week or something, right? So you go into your Top Producer X, you open up their contact record, you click on the Property Insights tab, and then you click on Add Insight on the top right corner. If you have more than one MLS board, you can select from which MLS board you want to do your search from. So I'm going to select my Vancouver board here. And you can either just type in the address. So for example, this one was 603 unit 1233 Beach Avenue, right? So I could just put 1233 Beach Avenue, and that should give me some results, right? For me personally, I sometimes it'll try to look for addresses, and the same address can exist in multiple cities, right? So instead of using the address, I like using the MLS ID. So if I put in, I click on MLS ID and I grab that MLS ID from my MLS, or if you want to just grab it from, a free website like realtor.com or Zillow or something like that, sometimes they'll show the MLS number in there as well. So I just grabbed it from realtor.ca here, and I will put in the MLS ID, hit search, and it should come up right away. So we're connected with hundreds of MLS boards. You just have to connect your credentials to it in your Top Producer X settings. Once this is set up, this is how it works. You click on Add Insight, it'll come up. Once you do your search, it'll show you a little picture, what the status is of that property on the MLS. And by the way, the status of this property, which right now it says active, and the price, which you see in the top right corner, 3.4 or 3.5 million, those will get updated automatically by the MLS. So there's no manual work that you have to do to make sure you're always seeing the latest information about these properties, because we have a connection with your MLS board to the system. So this customer or this client, buyer client of mine, gave me a call or texted me saying, hey, I want to take a look at this a little later this month. So I'm going to say they're interested in this one. And I'm going to hit save. So now I have one property in there that this buyer lead is telling me that they want to look at, right? So I'll take up another one here. I'll grab this one here. And I'll do the same thing, right? So put it in as the MLS ID. And you can see how quick it is, right? There's, in 8i, I know there's some searches in 8i that were a little bit slower, especially when you're dealing with searches from the MLS. If you've done the CMAs before, if you imported in the ad listing page before, you'll sort of know what I mean. This is much faster in my opinion compared to what I've experienced in Top Producer 8i. Interested in, hit save, and that's it. So let's say they're just interested in these two properties. The next time my buyer lead person here calls me, I can give them an update saying, hey, those two properties that you let me know that you wanted to take a look at, looks like they're still on the market. So that's great. If you want to set up an appointment this Friday, this Saturday, if you're free, I can do that. The first one's still at 1.688 and the other one is still at 3.488. So yeah, whenever you're ready to check those places out, I'll be more than happy to set those meetings for you. So that's kind of how I would use the property insights. This is really useful for our buyer agents. We don't have any feature like this in Top Producer 8i. So we were able to, with our new connection with the MLS through Top Producer X, we are able to introduce this new feature in here. All right, going back to my notes here. The next feature I want to talk about that's not in 8i is email tracking and being able to text your leads or your contacts. So what do we mean by email tracking? Let me just make this a little bit bigger here. So when you connect your email account in the settings of your Top Producer X, it will show you all your emails with that contact even before you signed up with Top Producer. As long as that email exists in that email account, you'll see all their sent and received emails. So every email you've sent them before in history, every emails they've sent you back in your email account, it will show in the email history section of your Top Producer X for that contact. And if you send that email from Top Producer X, it will track it so that it will tell you if they've opened it. So you can see this green eye icon here. The last two here, it's got the green eye. That's the indicator that they've actually seen those emails you've sent out. Now, I know some of you spend a lot of time creating these really nice email templates, right? Some of you, I've talked to customers where they've hired a photographer to take a really nice picture to include in your email marketing. Some of you have hired a graphic designer or a web developer to make that email just the perfect way, right? Wouldn't it be nice to actually see some return on that investment, right? Meaning that it would be nice to actually see they're looking at those emails, right? So with Top Producer AI, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that with that version. I know it's been a suggestion, a program suggestion for a very long time. I've talked to customers that kept requesting for it, and we've been able to implement it in the new version, the Top Producer X. So that's really cool. Now, even if you don't send it from Top Producer X, it'll still show it in that contact's email history. But the benefit of sending that email from Top Producer X is being able to track if they opened it. So if you send that email from your phone, for example, it'll show up in Top Producer X, but it won't be able to track that they've opened that email. So that's where I would suggest, if you want that tracking feature, send it from Top Producer X. The next thing on the right side is texting. So there's a screenshot here of how that will look like when you're inside that contact record. For example, Sophie Abbott here, I went to her text tab. You can see the entire texting history I have with Sophie. So from June 23, 2020 here, she said, okay. And then I replied saying, hey, let's move fast on the property on the 3rd Street. There will be lots of interest. And then the lead said, you bet, tomorrow during the lunch hour will work for me. And then you respond, hey, new listings are available in the Hillcrest area that you like. Let me know if you would like to see them. So why would you use the texting feature in Top Producer X compared to your texting app on your phone? Well, the problem with using the texting app on your phone is that what if you lose your phone, right? What if you don't have a backup service on your phone? Then you've lost all that history with that very important client that you might have, right? So instead of relying on your phone to keep a history of all those text messages, if you send it from Top Producer X, it doesn't matter what kind of phone you're using, as long as it's the same phone number, it will track that history inside that contact record. And because it's got that 360 contact view, right? You can switch from their text tab, their emails tab, your notes, right? So you can see all your communication throughout all the different tabs inside that contact record to make that easier for you to say the next best thing to that potential sale. I'm going to pause here to see if we have any questions. How are we doing on questions, Spencer?
Pretty good. I think I'm keeping up with it in general, but I know Terry was having some issues with calendar sync. She's not able to switch over to the TPX calendar sync, as far as I know, because of I think she was using the 8i one. Now it's not syncing at all. So I know our developers are exploring a way to have the TPX calendar sync check for duplicates, which would be the solution there to be able to easily switch over. Terry was saying that she will reach out to us, and I just recommended the live chat for now. But that she's just having a hard time with that. So Terry, I'm sorry about that. I know it's a good feature, like I said, to help you out, especially when you're on the run and stay up to date with your appointments and things like that. So hopefully we can find a solution for that. But definitely don't hesitate to reach out to our customer care team if you like as well, just to see if maybe there's anything else we can do to assist in that situation. We have a question from Robert as well, asking about group email. So Robert's asking, if I send out 100 emails, can I send out another 100 the same day? And so, Robert, the answer to that, actually, you can send out more than 100 per day. That's definitely not an issue. It's just you can only select and send off 100 at a time, because then they have to be, queued up by our service and then sent to your email account to be fulfilled. And it's just a difficult thing. There's so many intricacies involved there, right? If your email sends out too many emails at the same time, it can automatically get flagged. It actually happened to my own email account. I had to reactivate one of my sort of test Outlook accounts because it said there was some activity that was going on that seemed like spam, because I was testing out group email and demonstrating it. So yeah, it's just there's tons of different things we have to be careful of there. Hence the limit. We might be able to raise that soon, from what I've heard from our product manager. Yeah, because of something Google is doing, and of course everyone knows Google is one of the biggest providers. So what Google does have some influence on what we're able to do. So we'll see what we can do about that, Robert. And then Dan, I think you may have already addressed this. For texting, we use our existing cell number.
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, Miles was asking about the texting feature and about using like if it uses his own number, but I think you just addressed that, right?
Yeah, so just to
Or-
make sure it's clear, when you use the texting feature in Top Producer X, your contact, when they receive that text message, it's not gonna look like it's coming from your regular cell phone number. Okay. And I know some of you might not like that. Of course, you want them to, recognize that it's you, right? And so that they actually reply to you, right? That's the point of sending the text message, is to get them to reply to you, right? And if they don't recognize who it is, they're not going to reply to it, right? Unfortunately, we can't, due to, let's just say, regulations or guidelines that's out there. We can't just use your cell phone number when you're sending it from a third party provider. What I have suggested to people is, and it really works, because people don't really, just to be brutally frank here, people don't really care what your phone number is. I don't even know what my own parents' phone number is anymore, right? All I care is that when I get a text or a call, that it says their name, right? It's my mom, it's my dad, right? So what I usually suggest to people is to create a texting template, which I can show you guys a little later. Create a texting template, call it like first text message. And in that texting template, which you can reuse over and over for each person that you're gonna start a texting conversation with in Top Producer X, and just say, hey, this is Dan, your realtor. Just save this number under my name in your phone. That way, the next time I send you an email or I send you a text, you'll know it's coming from me. And as soon as you do that, I haven't had any feedback from customers that have done that where it's still continued to be a problem. So I would suggest for you guys to do that. In fact, let's take a look at that right now, okay? Let's get some live demonstration here.
Yeah, well, Dan's working on that. My suggestion was going to be exactly the same, to be honest. And just an additional recommendation, isn't that same text message? Maybe put a very brief and simple question at the end as well. Give them something to answer to, right? Instead of just saying, "Hey, it's me," blah blah blah. And then say, "By the way, how's it been going? Any questions on the market? Do you know anyone?" Like maybe include a brief little question at the end to kind of make them focus on a little bit more, and also make them potentially respond if you haven't spoken with them in a while. Good opportunity, I would say.
Yeah, so I know that was a little fast. If you were watching my screen, that probably was a little fast, which is, honestly, it's a good thing, because that means it's, once you know how to do it, it'll be fast for you to do it. But for you to send that first text message, all you have to do is open their contact record, go to their text tab, click on the send text button on the top right corner, click on the template button to access all the templates that you have, that you've saved already. And from your list, select the template you want to use. So I created a template called first text. And as soon as I click on that, I don't have to manually type it in all the time. So all I have to do is put that in and then hit send. And then that's it. It just sends it right away. And just to go a little bit deeper into that, I'll show you how to create that texting template. So on the bottom left corner, if you go to settings and you go to the template library, so similar to the marketing template library in 8i, it's called template library as well in Top Producer X. There's a tab for emails for all the email library templates, and then this texting tab for all the texting library templates. So we've got some in there that you can use if you'd like. And if you create any ones yourself, it'll indicate it as a personal template. So it'll have like a personal bubble there. The system ones are the ones that we included with the system. And if you want to add a new one, you click on add from scratch, give it a name, right? For example, first text, save it into one of the existing categories. And if none of these apply, you can just select the last one that says other, and you can create that first text message that you want. So hi, and you can even use some merge codes. So hi, first name. Okay. All right, let's see. This is Dan, your realtor. You save this number under my name on your phone. So yeah, it's me for next time. So let me just go ahead and insert that merge code. There we go. I'm just gonna put a date here. This is the one I created today. So yeah, I just created this texting template. Now it's saved in my template library. I saved it in my other category. So you can see this is the one that I created today. And if you want to edit any of the existing ones, you can just click on the pen icon. For example, let's take a look at the old one. If I click on edit, this is how it looked like before. Hi, first name, this is your realtor. Please save this number. I'm texting you from under my name in your phone's contact, so you'll know it's me next time. Give me a call at blah, blah, blah if you'd like. Thanks. So you can edit any of the templates that you've created already before, or you can create a new one from scratch. So that's how you would create it. And again, just to quickly go over how to use it, you go to your contacts, open that contact that you want to send a text to, you click on the text tab and hit send text, and then select the template button and select that template, and it'll automatically plug it in. So you don't have to manually type it in every single time. If you notice yourself sending the same type of message to your clients over and over, you can save the hassle of having to manually type it in all the time. Save it as a template in your template library. Hopefully that addresses those questions on texting. I'm going to continue to move on. We do have about 13 minutes left, and we still got quite a few information here that we need to go through. I really appreciate you guys' patience as we go through the questions. I know we have at least 40 people in here. So if you are waiting while other questions are being answered, I really appreciate your patience. But we'll continue and make sure we get everything done here within the hour. Did you want to add anything there, Spencer?
Sure. Just one really quick thing. For texting, do you mind just showing Terry really quick where to find the texting number in the settings?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you go to your settings, there's a tab on the bottom left that says texting. And once you've set it up, it will tell you your new top producer X texting number is blah, blah. So it should be there.
Is that working when I annotate it?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what they will see. Your clients when they're sending when you're sending it from top producer X. So again, why would you want to text from top producer X instead of your phone? That's because you're able to not only see your history, regardless of what device you're using in your top producer X, but it helps you navigate through all your communication with that person. So you can see your text messages, you can see your emails to them, you can see all the notes you put in, you can see what property insights that they might be looking at. And you've got your full keyboard and mouse, right? So it makes it less likely, hopefully, that when you're sending a text message, instead of tapping on this tiny screen on your phone, right, the tiny keyboard on your phone, you have a full keyboard to make it easier for you to, make sure you're not making spelling mistakes, right? All right, so moving on. Thank you for those questions. The next thing that's new in Top Producer X, if you haven't noticed already, this is more for people that have already purchased Market Snapshot. Market Snapshot is now inside the same dashboard as Top Producer X. So on the left side, there's a button now that says Snapshots. prior to Top Producer X, you had to go to a different website called topmarketer.net to log in to your Market Snapshot subscription. So a lot of the things that we get all the time in customer care is, I have too many passwords. I can't log into my Market Snapshot. Why is it the same? Why is it a different username and password? So we get a lot of complaints about that. You know, people's suggestion is, can I just have one place I can log into for both of them? And this is our answer. We baked in the Snapshots subscription or that product inside the same sign-in for your Top Producer X, inside the same dashboard. So the experience is not so jarring because you're not going to a different website and looking at a completely different dashboard. When you're in your Top Producer X and you want to look at your snapshots, you just click on the snapshots button on the left and you'll see all your snapshots that you're sending to your clients. So just as an example, we'll take a look at one of these market snapshots for those of you that don't know what it looks like. So here it is. They get this every week. Or if it's more of a colder lead, you can set it so they get it every 6 months or yearly maybe. Maybe if you have a more active lead, they want to get it every week, you can set it that way. They can customize it themselves too. So some of these features you might get also if you go through your MLS board. So it does depend on which MLS board you have, but with Top Producer, it's all in one dashboard, right? You don't have to go to your MLS board to create the same report. You fill it out, and then you can either do it yourself, or if you have a Top Producer website, you can create a landing page for your Market Snapshot, and you can post it on Facebook, for example, saying, hey, get your own free market report, or find out how much your home is worth, right? So if you have a Top Producer website, you can create a landing page for your Market Snapshot where people can sign up for their own report. So that's what it looks like. If I didn't give you enough information about Market Snapshot and you want to learn more about it, please let us know in the chat and we'll have someone in sales give you a really good demo, a more comprehensive demo on it, since we don't have much time here to go over all the details of how the Market Snapshot works. I know that for people that do use Market Snapshot, it's like I've heard this from customers. They say it's like their secret weapon, right? Sometimes they don't like it when I tell them, I try to tell people to use it because they don't want their competition to use the same thing. So, take that with a grain of salt, but that's what I've heard from other customers is they use Market Snapshot as their secret weapon to convince leads to work with them instead of another realtor. All right, going back to the notes here. The next thing I want to talk about is Smart Contact List in Top Producer X and being able to set up follow-up reminders. So if we go back to Top Producer X and I'm looking at my contacts, this is basically like the sales pipeline in your Top Producer 8i, where you got the different tabs for your contacts based on their contact status. So like your new contacts, people that you're engaging with, your active clients, your past clients, under close, et cetera, right? You'll notice that there's a button or a feature here called follow-up reminder. So if you're dealing with a lot of engaged contacts, right? People that you haven't qualified yet, you're not really sure if they're ready or not yet to go into the market. If you want to make sure you're keeping on top of them, you might want to set up yourself a reminder to follow up with them every 7 days, for example. Let's say I want a reminder every 1 day, right? That way it will turn red basically. If you haven't talked to them in a while, they'll turn red. That means that they're overdue for you to follow up with them. You can create your own contact list. So if you don't like the ones that we have here, and let's say you have a list of your sphere of influence or your top 10% or top referrals, right? You can create your own tab. So on the top right corner, there's a little gear icon where you can select create tab and you can make your own. And you can select certain contact types to put in here. So I want my buyers, I want people that are star clients. So I can select multiple contact types to put into this list, this bucket that I'm creating. And then I can just click on create tab, and then it'll show up all those contacts in there. What if I select one of these and I put into one of those buckets? Let's see, contact type, buyer, so yeah, so I don't have much contacts on my record, so it's not showing up in there. But yeah, that's how it works. If you have contact types in associated to your contacts, you can create your own buckets basically, so that when you're just wanting to deal with your favorites, you want to learn all about this stuff here, you can switch to that tab right away and just work that list. You can even create, you can even set it as your default, because by default, we want to show you your new leads, because as you guys probably, you want to contact your leads right away, right? You shouldn't wait more than 5 minutes, because after 5 minutes, that lead starts becoming staler and staler. So that's why we bubble up the new tab, the first thing, whenever you log into Top Producer X. But let's say you're not worried about that, and you want to look at your favorites tab right away. You can set that as your default. So the next time I go to contacts, it'll take me to my favorites tab. Even if I log out and log in, it'll go to my favorites tab first. All right, now we're gonna move on to what we've improved from Top Producer 8i to Top Producer X. One big one is the transaction management. So what we mean by that is in 8i, there is the listing date, the closing date, and there might be an expiry date or a reminder of expiry date. So there wasn't as much dates, like key dates to that transaction that we would track. With Top Producer X, you've got all these different key dates that are now available. For example, the agreement date, the closing date, expiration date, the financial commission date, inspection date, offer date, possession date, etc., right? So these are we heard this all the time with Top Producer 8i. People wanted to put in their own date that they needed to track for that transaction, and we couldn't adjust that in 8i as easily as we wanted to. So we were able to implement those upgrades to Top Producer X, and one thing that's really cool too is once you have those transactions and you put in those dates, so let's go here and let's just start putting in dates. Contract agreement, do that. Right, I just created a bunch of transaction dates in there. I guess I should put something in there, right? Let's just create a new one, just for some testing purposes. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's make this even cooler. So let's go to the contact. Let's say this is the same buyer that we were looking at earlier. And we took a look at one of these houses and they actually want to make an offer. I can click on add transaction directly from the property insights. It'll fill in all that information for me right away. And let's put in some key dates in here. The listing date was May 3. Let's say they made an offer today and the offer expires on Friday, right? Then Let's do that. Add. All right, so when you add all these key dates into the transaction, this is new here in Top Producer X. You've got this timeline, that's what I like to call it. You got this timeline in here that tells you, all the key dates that you have. And right there, it even tells you what where you are in that timeline. So today is where we're at right now. And it's got a little check mark beside it. And then it'll tell you what the next key date is in your timeline. So it expires on Friday, for example. If you create a task based on one of these key dates, so call seller agent, about offer, you can make that task dependent on one of those transaction dates. So if you want to make sure we call the seller agent before the offer expires a day before, I can set it that way. And I can set it for, let's say, 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock is pretty good. I'll give myself about 30 minutes to give them a call. So now that this is due tomorrow, which is 1 day before the offer expires. What if the offer expiration date changes, right? For whatever reason, we gave them a little bit more time, right? So instead of this Friday, we gave them till next Friday, July 1. So the offer expiration date changes. It's going to ask you, would you like to adjust the due dates of any dependent transactions based on your changes? So if I hit yes, that task that was dependent on the offer expiration date, it automatically adjusted its due date. So that's what we mean with the new features in Top Producer X, where these dynamic workflows, it auto adjusts if you're making changes to those key dates. And there's a lot more key dates that's available in Top Producer X compared to 8i. We are a little bit over time here. I do just have 1, 2, 3 more slides. So I appreciate if you guys are hanging on just for a little bit longer. Another thing we want to talk about is improved email deliverability. And what we mean by that here is in 8i, when you send out an email from 8i, I don't know if you noticed, but those emails are not being sent directly from your own email account. So if you have a Gmail account or an iCloud account, when you send out an email from 8i, it's not using your actual account to send them. It's going to put it into a queue where all our customers are placed into a centralized producer mail server queue, and that gets sent out over the next 24, 48 hours, right? Usually it's the same day, but because you're in a queue, there is potential for you to be waiting until that mass email is sent from 8i. And because it's being sent from a third-party account and it's using your email as the reply address, some email providers don't like that, and they see that as potential spam. And they'll either put you in the junk folder or the spam folder or block it completely, depending on how strict their policies are, right? Another thing with sending emails from 8i, because it's being sent from a centralized Top Producer mail server, is that you're affected by other customers' spammy behavior. So if you have a customer that's sending out 2,000 emails per day in 8i, if they get reported to their email provider that they're a source of spam, it's not only going to track that person's email address as potential spam, it's also going to track where the mail server is coming from as a source of potential spam. So your reputation is shared between all our Top Producer 8i customers when you're sending out an email. So from time to time, we do have our emails from 8i being blocked by Yahoo, AOL, for example, et cetera, et cetera. So whenever we see those, of course, we do our best to mitigate them and talk to Yahoo, talk to Gmail and say, hey, it was just that one account. You can please unblock everybody else's account, right? So we have to do that all the time, every time a major issue like that happens with Top Producer 8i. Now with Top Producer X, this is what we mean about improved email deliverability. When you send out an email from Top Producer X, it's sending it directly from your email account, not Top Producer. Even though you're using Top Producer X as a dashboard, it's going to look like it's coming from your Gmail directly, or your iCloud directly, or your Yahoo directly. And you can even see it in your Gmail sent items folder, even though you sent you sent that email to Top Producer X. If you go to your Gmail sent items folder, you actually see it in there too. So it looks like it's coming directly from your email account, and that makes it a lot more likely to land in that person's inbox instead of going into their spam folder or being blocked completely. So yeah, if you've been having issues with your emails that you send from 8i going into spam, that's definitely one thing I would try with Top Producer X, is sending the emails from Top Producer X. You'll hopefully you'll see that your emails are going more into their inbox instead of the spam folder.
Yeah,
the next thing, yeah, go ahead, Spencer.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say, yeah, the email feature in Top Producer X is honestly one of my favorite. It's a favorite of a lot of customers I speak to. And as Dan said, the nice thing about it is you are the only one that is responsible for your email's deliverability in Top Producer X. You don't have to worry about anyone else. As long as your Gmail account, Outlook account, Yahoo account, whatever it is that you use is in good standing, you're in the clear. You're good to go, and it's very reliable. It's fast, and it's always going to be looking like you because it actually is you.
Yep, exactly. And the other thing that we've improved from 8i to Top Producer X is our sync, our contact and calendar sync. So with 8i, before you could only sync it with your Gmail account and your Outlook account. With Top Producer X, you can now sync it with your iCloud account, for example, or your entire Microsoft account, for example. What we mean by that is, for those of you that use an iPhone, it's a lot easier for you to sync your phone's contacts with Top Producer compared to 8i. The one with 8i, you can do it with the iPhone, but you have to set up a Gmail account, and there's a whole process with it that we used to have to go through with 8i. With Top Producer X, you don't have to worry about that. You can just set up your iCloud directly in Top Producer X, and that will save you some duplicate contacts because they're all using the same sync, and it's gonna check the same contacts. If their first name is the same, their last name is the same, their email is the same, it's not gonna create a duplicate. It's going to link them together. So that's a really cool feature with the sync with Top Producer X that just wasn't possible with 8i. And Google does a lot of strict yearly audits as well when they're dealing with third-party companies like us to access their data. So if you had a Gmail account, we have to go through a yearly audit for that, and they're becoming even more strict and strict. With 8i, it being like almost a 20-year-old program, it just wasn't possible for us to fix it so that it works with these Google audits, for example. All right, now let's talk about those important features that you use in 8i that are not in Top Producer X. For example, letter templates, ability to print. We know they're very important. We know that they're not in Top Producer X. We know that. So we are working really hard to put all those really good features from 8i into Top Producer X. And we don't want to just put them in. We want to make them better, right? If you have any suggestions on how we can implement any features that you would want to go into Top Producer X, we have a dedicated feedback button on the bottom left corner. So if you click on that, it will take you to this portal where you can search other people's feedbacks. So for example, if you want Top Producer to be able to use on your phone, right? You can just type in your, that suggestion, and you can see other people's suggestion if they've already done it. And instead of having to manually put in your own suggestion, you can just click on the thumbs up if you want to add your name to it. So for example, make Top Producer X mobile friendly. You can see it's got 222 thumbs up already. And Vicky, which is our general manager for Top Producer, she's already said, we've started on this quest. We'll let you know when it's released. And in the same feedback portal, you can see that there's a section called What's Coming. And from here, you can see basically our roadmap for the product. So we're very transparent in showing you guys what we want to work on next. So these are our planned updates in the future. And these are what we're currently actively building right now. So one of them actively building right now is making Top Producer X mobile friendly. So yeah, if you are ever wondering, are your suggestions being listened to? Are we looking at them? Hopefully the answer to that is yes. If you are looking at our feedback portal, you can see all our roadmap and all the things that we're actively building right now. If you don't see a suggestion in here that you really think will help not just you, but everybody else that uses Top Producer X, you can just click on make a suggestion and fill out the form. Let's go over some frequently asked questions. Is there a cost to upgrade to Top Producer X? So we do get this question from time to time. There is no additional cost. The same subscription price you're paying for your Top Producer 8i includes Top Producer X and vice versa. So if you didn't know 8i existed, if you're one of our newer customers and you're just using Top Producer X and you're just finding out that there's an 8i version, there's no cost to use that as well. So it's the same subscription price. Same cost. Do I have to stop using 8i? Like I said earlier, no, you don't. You keep using 8i. If that's what you like, keep using 8i. But hopefully with this webinar, you can see all the newer features in Top Producer X. And 8i eventually, not that we're trying to get rid of it, but eventually all the features that you like to use, like the CMA, will stop working. And then, it'll be much harder for you to transition into TPX later down the road as we add more and more features into it. So I would suggest you get into Top Producer X now as quickly as possible so you can start learning all the newer features before we add even more features into it. Just like 8i has been built over 15, 20 years, right? 8i didn't start the way it is right now, right? We didn't have all these features in 8i before. Over the months and years that 8i existed, we started adding those features in. In fact, if you have a really old computer, you can still use our older version, 7i, right? We don't even advertise that, but for those of you that have a really ancient computer, you can probably still log into 7i if that works. Hopefully that attests to our commitment to continue to support 8i as long as possible, depending on how the technology will allow us to do that. What's not in Top Producer X that's in 8i? So I don't have like a comprehensive list, but things like the income and expense tracker is not in Top Producer X. The CMAs is not in Top Producer X. Printing labels is not in Top Producer X. If there's a feature that you don't know is in Top Producer X or not, just hit the chat button and we can work through that with you. We might even have a suggestion for you on how to achieve the same goal with maybe a different feature that you weren't aware of in Top Producer X. So yeah, if there's a certain feature that you want to know if it's an X or not, just chat with us and we'll figure it out with you. Now, you can go ahead and post your final questions in the Zoom chat or the Facebook chat. I'm going to go through some Q&As at this point in the webinar. We're just about finished here. But before I get to your questions, I do just want to mention a few things. Again, the chat button is on the bottom right corner. And if I'm logged into my Top Producer X, it's just this button on the bottom right. So if I click on that, this is a real person, Evan here, really good guy, and you can start chatting with them with your question. If you're not logged into Top Producer X, or maybe you don't know how to log in, or your password's not working, you can still get help from us. You don't have to be logged in. If you go to topproducer.com/campus, this is our self-learning website, and you can even sign up for some webinars. We've got some really cool ones coming up soon. I'll get into that a little bit more, but yeah, if you need to chat with us and you're not logged into to any of our products, just go to topproducer.com/campus and click on the chat now button. Same thing, you'll get someone here right away within our office hours of Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern or 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. I do want to show you our schedule of webinars. So right now we are here, June 22nd. We're talking about upgrading from 8i to X. If you want to dive even deeper into Top Producer X, you're getting a little bit of that taste now. If you want to learn more about it, tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific, Spencer will be the main host of 4 things you'll want to know after you set up your Top Producer X. And if you haven't set it up, no problem. On the same day tomorrow at 1 o'clock, he's going to go through the setup process of Top Producer X. So that's tomorrow. I encourage you guys to sign up for those if you want to learn more about Top Producer X. And then we have next week on Wednesday, we've got more of a real estate coaching webinar. It's called Tips to Increase Your Online Lead Conversion. So that one is likely to be hosted by our other webinar host, our wonderful Glenn Doyle. He is going to be taking over all the tips and tricks for you to, suggestions for you to increase your online lead conversion. So that's next week. Those are the webinars that I would highly suggest if you don't know which ones to sign up for. The one for tomorrow and then the one for next week. But definitely, if you like all these webinars, you can sign up for all of them. All right. Now, if you have if you have a question that you don't need an answer right away, you can email us at support@topproducer.com. If we don't get back to you on the same day, usually it's 1 to 2 business days that we'll get back to you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead, Spencer, with some questions, and let's see if we can address those at the end here.
Sounds good. So Dan, one that I have up here from Lynn. I missed this part because I was responding to other questions, but she was asking if we can use both simultaneously, like 8i and X. I wonder why Dan said it would be more difficult to switch later. And so I missed that part, unfortunately, when you said that. Like I said, I was answering other stuff, but maybe you can talk to that.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry. So what I mean by that is, if you're thinking of holding off using Top Producer X until later, right? Let's say you're just not ready right now. You might want to consider at least starting to use some of the features in Top Producer X, because just like 8i, we didn't have all these features in 8i before. For example, we didn't have follow-up coach before in the beginning, right? So as we add more features into Top Producer X, right, it just means more for you to learn, right? And let's say all of a sudden in 8i, let's say for whatever reason, you can't print labels anymore, right? Or you can't send out emails anymore, right? That would be really bad, right? You can't send emails from 8i anymore, right? Now you're having to play catch up with the pressure of making sure you're talking to your clients right away and potentially losing that sale, right? If you wait a little too long to use Top Producer, start using or learning Top Producer X, that transition might be harder for you, right? So continue to send out emails in 8i if you want to do that. But at the same time, I suggest you to start trying to send out emails from Top Producer X, so at least you know how it works on the newer version as well. That way, that it just makes your transition a little bit smoother. So hopefully that answers that concern or that question. What else? What else we got here? While we're waiting, I want to show you guys, I want to come back to the question about the task plans or action plans. How do you apply it to a contact? So if you want to do it just for one contact, you just click on their name. You go to their task tab. And there's a button on the top right corner that says apply plan. And then you can just select one of your plans. So I haven't created one yet, so that's why it's showing this here. But this is how you can apply that task plan. Let me just create a brand new one here so you guys can see. Simple lead conversion. All right, I created a plan. This is my plan here, day 1 or day 0, day 3, day 6, day 7. So I've got an action plan. I created in my top producer X. If I go to a contact and I want to apply that plan, I just click on their task tab, click on apply plan, and select that plan. And let's say I don't want to start it today. I want to start it on the 1st of July. So I select that as a start date and I hit apply. And instead of having to manually add in these tasks into the system individually, because it's in a plan, it'll just automatically apply that whole list for that contact. So that's how you can do it for one person. If you want to do it for multiple people, just go to your list of contacts, either select all or select the ones that you want to apply the plan to. And there's a button at the top, the 4th one from the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like a clipboard with like a gear on it. And if you hover over it, it'll say apply task plan. It'll tell you how many contacts you selected, and then you can select that plan you want to start. So if you want to start it instead of July 1, maybe we want to start it on August 1. And that's it. So it's now applied that same task plan for multiple contacts at the same time, saving you time. What else? What else questions we got here? Anyone else?
Let's see. I think I'm caught up on all questions for now. But yeah, no, thanks for elaborating on that, Dan, about switching to X at a certain time. I completely see what you mean now. Sooner than later, so you don't have to learn as much. And when you have to learn a new feature, it's going to be less daunting because you'll already be familiar with the bulk of TPX. So I completely understand that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We're gonna stay here for anyone else that have questions that you want answered. We're gonna stay here a little longer. But for everyone else, if you need to go, I know you have some appointments that you probably have to get to, or you might need to get some lunch. It's around 11:30 already Pacific time. So thank you so much for joining me and Spencer for today's webinar on more information about upgrading from 8i to Top Producer X. I really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in chat. Otherwise, thank you very much and have a great day. All right, so let's get through some other questions here. What else we got, Spencer?
So we have a question from Judy. I was just about to answer it via text, but we can answer it live. Judy was asking, did any of the task plans transfer from 8i? And so what I was about to say via texter was unfortunately no way to automatically transfer them at this time. Our development team, I know they are looking into solutions. We can't promise anything as of yet, but I did hear from them about 2 weeks ago. They are looking at some potential ways to make that at least a little bit easier to transfer those plans over. So we'll see what we can do about that. What I'll do, Judy, is let me just note down your name here, and I will add you to the existing request in Pendo for that. Just in case you haven't already upvoted it, I'll just upvote it for you on your behalf, and then that way you'll receive an email notification if there's some more movement on that. Also from Judy, can the look of X be changed? So once again, unfortunately not at this time. There is also an outstanding request in Pendo for that. So Judy, once again, I can do this exact same thing there. I can add you to that if you like, or feel free to go to Pendo just by clicking the feedback button in the bottom left corner, and then do a search in the top right for keywords such as color or theme, and you should find that request that you can then upvote by clicking the thumbs up button. So I'm sorry about that, Judy. Two no's at this time, unfortunately, but like I said, they are features that are being considered and looked into.
Yeah, and I do want to add, Judy, about the look of Top Producer X. There is an option in your settings. If you go to settings and then UI settings, you can customize the colors of the contact type bubbles that you see. So for example, if you're dealing mostly with buyers, right, and you don't like the color that it came with, and you want it more prominent on your screen, you can actually edit the color. So for this one, I can say go to red and make it really red, right? I can select red and bam, it's red now. So when I go to my contacts, anyone with that contact type, that color change of that bubble changes. So it pops out a little bit more. I know that it all kind of looks like white and gray, mostly, but those contact type bubbles will pop out a little bit better because of that. That one was probably a horrible choice because you can't really read the buyer text. So let me just change that. Let's go back to this let's go back to the lime green. There we go. So yeah, it pops out a little bit better with those color bubbles for the contact types. Terry Evans, thank you. I've been working with X now for about 2 weeks. Looking forward to one-on-one session. Awesome. Appreciate you joining us, Terry. Judy, yeah, the screen doesn't have enough contrast, which makes it difficult to read. I understand that, definitely. I know that our product team continues to look for those type of feedback. So yeah, definitely, if you haven't clicked on the feedback button yet, look for an existing suggestion that maybe is related to your feedback there, so you don't have to type in the whole thing. If not, you can go ahead and type in however you like to see what kind of customization you want to see on the dashboard. What might make it easier to read is you can always just zoom in too, right? Sometimes I zoom in, even temporarily, I'll just zoom in to make it a little bit easier for me to read. Also your monitor, oh, that's one pro tip. I have talked to other customers where it might actually just be your monitor that you can adjust the contrast for. And that makes a lot of things, not just top producer, easier to read on your screen. So you might want to take a look at your monitor settings to see if that might help too. And by the way, we get that same feedback with 8i, right? With the contrast and not seeing it properly. I've gotten that feedback as well from our 8i customers, where it's like the contrast is hard to see. And for that one customer that I talked to, it was just an adjustment to their monitor that made it easier to read. So that might be something you might want to take a look at.
So we have a question from Judy here, Dan. I think we could probably just have like 2 minutes left, but Judy's asking, did all the information about birthdays for family members transfer? I can't find it in X. And actually, I guess I could speak to that really quick. Birthdays, how it worked in 8i is there's a dedicated birthdays section. Then there's also an important date section. So unfortunately in X, it just doesn't display that birthday field. It does, however, display important dates, as you can see Dan showing off right here. And so anything that was entered in important dates in 8i actually does show up in here, and vice versa. It's just unfortunately that dedicated birthday field in 8i that doesn't show up in X. So I know we are, or I should say our development team is looking into a way to kind of consolidate that, I believe, into the important dates and just have it important dates be your one go-to section for everything. So I know that is quite frustrating at the moment to have that not just show up in there. So we'll see what we can do about that further. So appreciate your patience on that. And then as for family members in general, just want to mention something. I know a lot of people love the friends and family feature in Top Producer X. So I can't remember if I've mentioned it. I probably haven't mentioned it during this show. But there is actually a new feature in X on the way called Relationships. And so this is going to be something that allows you to connect contacts in various different ways and have that relationship laid out in a very easy to manage way. And so this is going to actually address lots and lots of issues, make it a little bit more like ADI in that aspect, but also help out other things, such as addressing contacts properly in email templates and things like that. So I have heard about that from our product manager, and it sounds really good. So just want to give you a heads up on some features coming like that. Judy's also asking, what about specific information for each birthday? Um, I'm sorry, Judy. I guess I'm not sure what you mean by that without some more context, um, but yeah, as long as the birthday was entered in the important date section, it'll show up here in X just like you see on Dan's screen. It's just if it's entered in the birthday section, unfortunately, X simply just doesn't have that birthday dedicated field there. But if you actually typed birthday in the important date section in ADI, then it would actually just show up in there, as you can see on Dan's screen, just like that, for example.
Yeah, so with 8i, there's two kind of fields that we were tracking with for each contact, the birthday field and the important dates field. So we just kind of combine them together into the important dates field. That way, some people, the birthday doesn't really matter, right? They want to track a different type of date. So we've kind of combined it to one field. So it's easier to manage all in one place, right? So you don't have to go to the dashboard to look for the birthday, right? It's all going to be in this same section for important dates. And if you're looking at your list of tasks, you can see all your important dates for every single person that you have in your system. That way you don't have to remember whose birthday was it again. You can just go to your list of important dates and it'll tell you, okay, so for example, it's this person's birthday on November 11 of this year.
And Dan, actually, really quick, one last thing. Judy was asking about keeping track of big birthdays by including the date of, or the year of birth, I should say. What I always do, Judy, for that is I'd like to add that in the title of the birthday. So if Dan clicks on this and goes to edit the birthday, I just usually put in brackets, like 1985 or something like that, for example. And then that way, it'll always show up there. Yeah, even just the year I find works because you'll always have the month and day there anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's okay, Dan. But you know what I mean. Yeah, you already have the month and day there, so I find just putting the year in brackets there is a good way to just take care of that. That's what I've recommended for probably the last 2 years.
Yeah, so if you're just looking at your list of important dates, that person's birthday is coming up, you can see that it was 1986.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the year that you set when you're making the important date is really just for the reoccurring reminder. That's all. So to keep track of it, the actual year, that's the best way to do it. Is just to add it in the actual name of the important date. That goes for anniversaries as well.
Yeah, so a question here from Terry Evans. I had several emails in 8i using draft version. So if I wanted to send an email to different vendors, attorneys, etc., like termite inspection, ratified contract draft, where all I did was change the name of the people. Where are those letters today? My draft towards the end of the month of May would not open up. I think what you're talking about is the drafts in 8i, and which you could access from the inbox. And there's the whole section here for drafts. If you don't already know yet, is that the inbox feature in 8i has been sunset, unfortunately, since June 1. Unfortunately, something broke with it and we couldn't continue to make it work. So starting on June 1, you won't be able to send or receive emails in your inbox. So going to those drafts, even if you were able to open one of them, you won't be able to send it from 8i anymore. There is a separate issue though, where certain emails or certain templates in your 8i that haven't been created or opened since December 20th We did a data migration from an old server that we had to a new one. And part of that migration, unfortunately, we lost all those emails and templates that you haven't opened since December 20th. So if one of your drafts wasn't used since December 20th or created since December 20th, unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of the bad news here. Those would have been lost due to that migration issue that we encountered back in December. If you want to discuss that a little bit more to see if that might be it or it might be something else, highly recommend you to hit the chat button on the bottom right corner. We can take a look at that. But on a more positive direction, what you can do as an alternative is in Top Producer X, those drafts that you're talking about, go to the template library, go to the email tab and create it in there. And when you said you just change the name of the person, what you can do is, this is a test. So let's pretend this is the draft that you've saved in 8i. You can just recreate it in TPX as a template. And if you're just wanting to have the name change every time you use it, use a merge code. So where it says hi here on my screen, you can click on the template button and select first name. So whichever contact you're sending this template to, it will automatically put in their first name since you've selected that merge code. So that's what I would do moving forward. Instead of having it in your drafts for, in 8i that you used to use, save it as a template, as an email template in Top Producer X, and it will even automatically put in their name instead of having to manually change it all the time. So I hope that helps. If you sent it to one of your, like if you're trying to look at the content, the actual content of that drafts, so you can recreate it in Top Producer X and you don't have a copy of it, try to see if, maybe one of your recipients that you sent it to, maybe contact them and see if they can send you a copy back of that email you sent them. That way it'll make it easier for you to recreate them. So hopefully that helps. Terry Evans, no, I changed the email more than that. Yeah, so yeah, you can make those changes and save it as a draft in your Top Producer X template library, and you can keep reusing it. Judy, so I have to recreate all the templates I had in 8i. Yeah, so the short answer is yes, unfortunately. Right now, they're not linked together. The template library in 8i and the Top Producer X template library in Top Producer X is not linked, so you have to recreate them. It could just be a matter of simply copy pasting like the body of the email, for example, to do that. But like Spencer alluded to, we are looking at ways to make that a little bit easier. I don't have an ETA or any guarantees on that, but that is definitely something that our product team is aware of, that people want to make it an easier process. So hopefully we'll have something to address that in the future. Yeah, Terry giving some examples of the changes. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just recreate it in Top Producer X. That way it's on the brand new version that you're going to be hopefully using now, more than the Top Producer 8i. You're set up for the next few years, basically, beyond 2022 and beyond. All right. I think this is a good time for us to end the session. You're welcome, Terry. Thank you so much for your questions. And as well, Judy, thank you so much as well for staying all the way till now. For all those that are watching all the way till now, we still have like 15 people waiting or watching. So I really appreciate everyone here. Linda, you've got your hand up in the, Linda Kilarski. Did you have a question? I see that you put your hand up. If you want to just post in the chat your question, I'd love to answer it.
I think she's just had it up for a while by mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you do have any questions, definitely post in the chat of your Top Producer product on the bottom right corner, and we'll be happy to answer them. or email us support@topproducer.com. But for now, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna end the session. This is Dan Salcedo and Spencer Powell from the Top Producer Customer Care team. Hope you guys have a great day. We will do the same webinar again next month. So if you want a refresher of the same content, you're more than welcome to come join the fun, and maybe have some more questions next time, and we'll address those at that time. Otherwise, have a good day, and thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Feel free to check out the webinar schedule on our campus page. Feel free to register for any other shows that interest you, such as the 4 things you'll want to know after you set up Top Producer X, hosted by myself on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Also, make sure you check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/tpcampus. We've recently uploaded, I should say, some great recordings such as Database Organization 101, how to set up your Top Producer website, and there's even more content coming soon.
Yeah, maybe next time I'll have Spencer take it away with a solo guitar riff that's behind him.
Yeah.
Bass guitar in the back.
It's time for the mythical bass solo.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.